What's going on YouTube? It's fineokay, and today I'm bringing you guys the answering part of my Q&A video. So a couple days ago I asked you guys to leave me some comments, and I'll take the top 10 in the comment section or on my Twitter or whatever and answer the questions that you guys have for me, whether they're gameplay related, whether it's a personal question, whatever it is. So I'm actually going to be doing the answering part today, and I'm just going to be doing it over a little bit of a Giannis jungle gameplay that I got from a stream not too long ago. This is ranked, keep in mind, but basically, watch that in the background while you listen to me talk about these questions and answer everything you guys ask me. So yeah, let's get straight into those questions. So our first question is going to be from OwningXerxes. It's actually a 2-for-1. We got two questions here. His first question is Terra still a viable soul laner now that they annoyingly removed her root? And his second question is, why doesn't anyone build Mystical Mail on Guan when it stacks his passive insanely quickly? And if it can be built where it should be fit in? Well, to answer the first question, I do not think that Terra is still a viable soul laner with her root being gone. I don't think she's that good of a god now. Her slow is not that great. She has to invest 2 abilities into it to even use it, to even get the slow. It does a decent amount of damage, but I just don't think she's very viable in solo right now. There's just better guardians you can pick, and if you're not going to pick a guardian, you might as well pick a warrior who can get pressure. And then to answer your second question, why people don't build Mystical Mail on Guan Yu, well, first of all, CDR is the best item or option you can go on Guan Yu. He is really good with CDR. He's really good with mana. Now, Mystical Mail doesn't provide either of those. Also, to add to that, Mystical Mail is pretty expensive, and you're not a pressure warrior, so you can't really accent you're building Mystical Mail on gods that have pressure, basically, and that helps you get more pressure, and it helps you dive the backline super hard. Guan doesn't really do that. That's why he is much better with CDR and mana, because he can spam his heal for his team. He can spam his peel for his team with his ult and stuff like that. So that's basically why. It just doesn't fit on him very well, even though it works with his passive well. With how the Conquest map works and how teamfights work and stuff like that, you just don't really build it on him. It might be good in arena or something like that, but yeah, that's the answer to those two questions. Our next question is going to be from JustinMelendez, and he asks, how did you end up as a pro Smite player? Well, basically like anybody else, I grinded ranked for a while. I played in a couple combines. I played in the first 2 combines. The first one I played in as ADC, and I actually got recommended. And the second time I played as a mid, and I got recommended. So both times I got recommended, but I never actually made it on team. So then I just played ranked a lot. I really enjoyed playing Smite, especially on the competitive side. So I played ranked a lot, and then eventually I made a team with iFates. You might recognize these names. They were actually in the recent Gauntlet run. So iFates, Sheikah, somebody named Pool Shark, who used to be a competitive player, and Sops. So it was us 4, well, I guess us 5, including myself. Pool Shark kind of put the team together, and we played together in the first CC. That was my first CC, or Challenger Cup, rather. And yeah, we actually did pretty well. We were scrimming some good teams. We were doing well, and we played in that, and we made it to the, I think, what was it? It was an open bracket or something like that. We ended up losing to a SPL team or something like that. But for my first Challenger Cup, we did pretty well, and I kind of picked up quickly on Smite, and I really enjoyed playing it, so I practiced a lot, and that's basically how I got into this scene. And then from there, you just have to play a lot of ranked, play with other Challenger Cup players, and then eventually start making your way towards the pro players. And it's all about connections too. But yeah, if you get better at the game, you will get noticed eventually. So that answers that. Our next question is going to be from DrakeGreedman, and he asks, who do you think the sleeper god in comp is for Worlds, solo or not? Well, since we're commentating over a Giannis jungle gameplay, I might as well tell you that I do think Giannis is probably going to be a sleeper pick. Keep in mind that I'm not playing with in scrims against the World's teams and stuff like that, or anybody in Europe, so I don't know for sure. People may already be playing something like Giannis, but I do think Giannis is a little bit underrated right now, and the items are really good for him, and his recent buffs were pretty sick. I think he'll be a mid sleeper pick, and in solo, I think you always got to worry about Hercules. I think that he may be pulled out. And in jungle, I think Thor, because he's such a comfort pick. Those are probably the sleeper gods that you don't think are too meta right now, but yeah, like I said, I'm not playing with the World's teams and scrims or anything like that, so I don't know for sure if these gods aren't already being played. So I can't answer that question to the best of better than other people would, but yeah, I think Giannis and Thor are probably your main ones. Global ults are going to be really good. So up next we have Jay, and he asks, would you ever coach one of your views, I think he meant viewers, on how to become a good solo player? Well, I already do my Coach Fine video, which helps you guys out with that, fixes mistakes, and it obviously directly helps out the person who sent me the gameplay. And that's not a paid thing. I just do that. I tell people that I'm going to make a video out of it, and that's, you don't have to pay me money. However, I actually do like private lessons or coaching, I guess you could say, if you guys do want that. I've only done it once. I had a couple people ask me, and some people backed out of it. But it will be a paid thing, so if you would want that, you'd have to DM me on Twitter, and we could talk about, how long we're going to do it and the price and everything like that. So I would do that, and I am open to it. But keep in mind that it would be paid because it would require a lot of time and a lot of I'm giving out a lot of valuable information that it's going to sound corny, but it took a while to learn and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, just go ahead and shoot me a DM on Twitter because my DMs are open on Twitter. So yeah. Our next question is from Max Moore, and he says, why do you think that support and ADC are the roles with the least amount of great new players? So to say, you don't see a new Zap/Bear from one season to another, but it seems more common in other roles like Baskin in solo when he was on C9, or Andy in mid, or even myself in solo. Well, I don't know if I exactly agree with this, because I think that even in ADC there's great new players. Like, I think Wowie is probably one of the best ADCs now, and he's relatively new to the scene, I guess. Not relatively new, but maybe like a year old, whereas like Bear and Zep have been around forever. And I'm sure I can come up with examples in the other roles. But if I had to guess with something like that, it's because, one, you're kind of biased towards these people. They've been around for so long, and you've become a fan for them for so long that you're kind of biased, and you think that they're better than the other players. Where I do think that Bear is probably one of the best ADCs in the world, but just kind of show you that like people have biases when they've been a fan of somebody for so long, or have watched somebody for so long. So that's part of the reason why I think. And also, it's just hard to break into the scene in the Smite scene. Like I said before, a lot of it is about connections. So although I do believe that if you're really good and you grind hard enough, you will eventually get noticed and get your shot. I do still think it's pretty hard in Smite to get the credit you deserve. And I think a lot of Smite players actually have egos, and they're kind of afraid to admit when somebody is actually good, or maybe like they're afraid to admit when somebody makes a really good play, or maybe even is better than them, or something like that. So I think those are a couple of reasons why you might have that idea. Up next, we have the 4G Gator, and he asks, who's your favorite jungle to lane level 1 with, and does it change based on who you're playing? It definitely changes based on who you're playing because, different junglers accent different solos with their abilities and just kind of their kits and everything like that. But if I had to choose one, it'd probably be Serket, because Serket she farms early. She does so much damage because she has that prot shred. She also has the percent damage with her autos and stuff like that. So basically, you can kill everyone at any point. It doesn't matter who the enemy solo and jungle are. So I really like playing with Serket, and also the factor that she can get blink level 1, to start the game, and blink over that solo wall and instantly get a taunt off is pretty crazy because a lot of times you can just CC chain the enemy solo, and so yeah, I like playing with Serket early game for sure. Our 7th question comes from Kumar, and he asks, what are your achievements in your pro career, like tournaments won, how many teams you've been a part of, etc.? Well, I've never won a LAN or a tournament yet. My first SBL split was actually this year in spring. I joined Old Soar halfway through the split. I think they were 0-4, 0-6 at the time. I think 0-4. I guess 0-2. They had lost all their games, basically. And they needed a solo, and I was actually able to join and play for them. And we went from, I think, last place to 3rd. I forget. But basically, we went from last to a really good spot. And then we played at LAN, and we did well. And we ended up losing to Rival. But we did well against every NA team and stuff like that. So that was pretty good for us. And then the next split, I played with them again. We were Monkey Madness for a while, and then we became Space Station once Shonduras and then picked us up. And we placed first in NA, and we actually made it to DreamHack Valencia. We ended up losing to Rival again there, and then I was dropped from that team. So I've only had 2 real splits in the SPL, and the first time we went from almost last place all the way up, and the second time we placed first in NA. But once again, I have not won a LAN yet, but I hope to do that in the near future, and I'm going to grind my ass off so that we can I can do well next season and potentially win a LAN. That's really what I'm really hoping for. So my achievements, not that great so far. Haven't won a tournament or anything like that. So our next question is from Dan the Mac, and he asks, Which assassin, in your opinion, is the most viable in the solo lane currently, and why? I realize assassins in general are not in an amazing position in this meta, but I'd like to get some insight. Well, Dan, I believe that I think some of the assassins are actually viable in solo. I think Fenrir, for one, especially after his buff. Fenrir, Rat, and probably Susano. Personally, I think Susano is. If you're really good at Susano, I think he's viable in solo. He's especially good with Gladiator Shield because your abilities hit multiple people. But and my personal favorite that I've been playing a lot of lately, and I do think is viable in solo, is Bastet. So those 4 assassins are probably the most viable, I think. But like you mentioned, assassins aren't in the greatest position right now, so it's kind of hard to play them. I do think you could probably play them in ranked, but you're not going to see them in competitive too much just because, you know, warriors are so good, and even guardians are really good right now. So, yeah, that's it. So our 9th question today comes from Attila. He says, as a jungler, what can I do if all 3 of my team's lanes are losing? Is it possible in the current meta to win if my ADC is worse than the enemy team's ADC? Well, for the first question, there's not much you can do if all 3 of your lanes are losing. You kind of have to look for which one is at least the closest, or which one do you think the matchup is at least in one of their favors, and try and gank that lane and try and help them get ahead. If it's just all a shit show and you're losing every single lane, then just try and focus on farming and try and focus on those picks in the jungle, trying to get kills so you can at least get fed so you can maybe possibly carry the game. And for the second question, I've talked about this a lot on my stream and stuff. In this current meta with ADCs getting so big and having so much solo farm and basically just carrying the game single-handedly if they're good, it is pretty impossible to win the game if they're super far ahead and they're destroying your ADC. If they soloed your ADC a few times and are super far ahead, it's going to be super difficult to win that game. So it's much more in their favor. It's not impossible. You're just going to have to either try and help that lane if you think that, you know, there's something you can do there, or maybe you guys can get a kill and maybe try and get that ADC back into the game, or try and impact the other side of the map even in a more impactful way. Sorry to be redundant here, but try and be more impactful on the other side of the map or in other lanes so that maybe you can carry the game from that side and not have to worry about the ADC too much. But like I said, super difficult, and in this current meta, almost impossible. So our last question comes from Palash, and he says, do you plan on having SubSlash for your games anytime soon? Like a custom game where there are other top players besides you, at least have 1 per stream or 1 per week. That could also be a giveaway instead of a skin. So I've thought about doing this, and I said that I'm going to do it. I just haven't done it yet, basically. I'm just kind of lazy with it. I do want to do viewer games, and I do want to do custom games because I think it's a really good way to play with my viewers and teach you guys things and stuff like that, and just basically have fun. So yes, I am planning on doing it, and also I might even do Xbox custom or in-houses in the future. I'm probably going to be terrible at it because I've never played Smite on Xbox, but I do have an Xbox One that I could do that on. So yes, I'm planning on doing this. At first, it's just going to be PC, and I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter with stuff like that. And maybe I'll even upload a YouTube video and we can like get a bunch of people in it. Maybe even have like a tournament or something like that. But yeah, I will keep you guys updated on Twitter for that. It will be in the near future, not currently, but we are looking to do in-houses and custom games. So keep that in mind. So that's going to be it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Q&A video. Let me know if you found these answers interesting, and let me know if I should keep this series going. Give me some feedback, see what I can change. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.